call the meeting to order. The vision for the Village of Valemount is striving for a vibrant and balanced community. And it's our mission to serve the community and embrace opportunity. The first item on the agenda is to adopt it. Any changes? Anything we'd like to add?
Your Worship, I have one amendment.
Okay.
A letter from the public library.
Okay.
Pass those around to the councillors.
One more. Oh my goodness, you're kidding me.
Mr. Mayor, under new business,
Yeah,
we'll put it?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It's under 16.1.
Bing, bing, bing. What a great idea. Okay, we won't get to that yet. We'll just throw that under new business and somebody will tap me on the shoulder when we get there so I don't blow by it. Seeing as Braden has everything in his head anyways, the corporate officer will keep us. Okay, good. BPL. Good. Okay, I'll move that amendment. Councillor Latimer, all in favor? Great. Moving along, the adoption of the previous minutes. Any substantial changes? Looks good. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Good. Whoa. Correspondence for action.
That one down too.
We've got a letter request from the Valemount Historic Society. That council considers whether to waive the fee for the tent rental, and that council does not waive the $200 street vendor permit 1 fee for any for-profit vendor taking part in the event. That's staff's recommendation. How do we line up on this?
Is it $200 each vendor for one day?
That's right.
If this is a celebration, this is,
Do we know how many for-profit vendors?
we don't know what this term is.
And let's keep aware of the difference between a for-profit and a non-profit.
Yeah.
So when we passed the street vendor bylaw, we put the fees and charges in the fees and charges amendment bylaw, and the non-profit vendors, they get the permit. They still have to apply to make sure that they've got their food permit and the other requirements that we ensure for all people who have business license, but it's free of charge. But a for-profit, when they want to have an alternative location just for less than 21 days in a calendar year, they have to apply for the $200 street vendor permit 1 fee if there are multiple ones. And the reason we said the $200 here as opposed to the $20 a day. So if it's somebody coming from out of town, for-profit, and they're only here for the 1 day, it's normally a $20 fee. But this particular vendor who they're requesting, he's been told, because he's been operating in other locations without the permit fee, that any additional street vendor or permit usage will be the $200 fee right off the bat. But to answer your question, if it was someone who only wanted to open for the 1 day, it's just $20.
So if I wanted to set up with my glass, it would be $20 a day, not $200?
It's not $200.
Because I'm for profit?
That's right.
Okay. And Dave's food truck is $200 because he's already got a permit in 2 other places.
Yes.
But I mean, how long is it going to take him to raise $200? How much food is he going to have to cook?
I mean, one of the piece here on the street vendor bylaw is when applying for a fixed location, the idea is it's a hassle, but it's also protection, right, against it prevents it from higgly-piggly people coming in and setting up. It provides a sort of a matrix, a mesh, some rules to go by. I don't know. I mean, I hope it's not a hindrance, but I think we did do a pretty good job on the street vendor bylaw, right? Like we really went through this, and I think we were really in the Funky Goat's court, trying to help that through, and also give consideration when he sets up at some of the location, maybe requiring generation, electrical power. How does that fit into this piece?
This one, it's a unique one because the bylaw gave staff the ability to approve these one-off ones so that there wasn't that bureaucratic administrative burden of having to come to council for approval of that alternate location. Staff has prepared the application form. It's quite simple, and then staff can approve it so long as all the requirements are met.
Okay.
And for the one-off person, in your case, for example, it would be just a $20 fee.
Okay. Councillor Salt.
I mean, we keep going through this every time there's an event. And it's not that we don't want to support these events, we do. And I think we're clearly demonstrating, that we're trying to work with all the different options that are out there. I just wonder how many of these groups realize when they're holding special events such as this, which is a 100th anniversary, there are tons of different funding sources and sponsorship sources out there for events like this. And had this organization applied for some of that, they could use some of that money towards actually maybe either paying the permit fee for the vendors for their event, or they could assist paying part of it for them. This is where I'm struggling, because it's like we can't keep waiving everything. We've said that. This council, we've said that all along. We don't want to keep waiving everything, but yet we don't want to be a hindrance to having events happen. So I don't know if maybe we need to, if we need to make a mail out to all the different organizations saying, do you realize that you can get sponsorship funding from CBT, that there is sponsorship funding from other organizations. Kinder Morgan, I know, has some different sponsorship funding. There's, we're doing in-kind funding, and I know there are for 100th and 50th anniversaries, different funding sources out there. We have a grant writer. Did they go see the grant writer? This is where I'm coming from. So I'm totally fine with waiving the fee of the tent. We're still gonna collect the damage deposit like we always do. That's part of our policy, right? But I'm really struggling with the for-profit vendors. Like I said, we went through a lot of work with that bylaw, and I don't want to impose any unrealistic expectations, but at the same time, we can't just keep giving.
There's no sense in going through all the work that we've gone through if we're just going to say, oh, that's okay, we don't really need to do this.
I agree. Let's run it through, and if we find, we go through a few events, we'll just cruise through with the bylaw the way that it is in this event. If we find it is problematic and it's systematically really cramping people's saddle, we can revisit it then. Mm-hmm. But just to have simply passed the bylaw and then the first time that something comes up is to defer to it. I think it doesn't respect all the thinking and the work that's going on through the APC as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It wasn't just council, the APC went through it, and then it came to us.
Okay, well, I'll entertain further discussion or a motion on the matter.
I'm just torn, sorry.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move the staff recommendation that we waive I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to seek that we waive the tent rental fee. But not the $200 street vendor permit fee.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Fair enough. Did you want to register opposed here? Yeah, okay, we'll put that down in the minutes.
Councillor Blanchette, you need to register opposed then, because silence
That's what
is...
she just did.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, we just did.
Got that.
Maybe some of these groups can also have money to maybe get a tent that they can share amongst themselves so that there's no deposits paid, down the road. Just something for them to think about.
Yeah.
I think having a central place where they can go and get their information is a good idea. And then we don't go through this.
Well, and if any of you did get a chance to read the Community Forest minutes, Community Forest has an annual grant fund as well that different groups can use as well. They just have to apply when that annual call comes out, so.
It'd be worthwhile to put it out there that maybe we get the grant writer to, we just sort of say, wouldn't it be interesting to go do a mass mail out to the nonprofits about some of the easy things that are available.
Sources that are out there.
Yeah. Maybe not all of them, because that can be
well, exactly.
just some of the easy ones.
Kim Thorne has a complete list of everybody. Mm-hmm. So she would be the one to contact for that.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the reading file. Is there anything that anybody would like to put up? I really appreciated the letters from Pitt Meadows regarding the sort of unified building code, and I appreciate their concerns. It appears like Pitt Meadows has pulled the trigger on requiring sprinkling, and that's done great things for their fire protection, and they really want to defend that. So they're seeking that the province either bring everybody up to the same bar or make an allowance for them to put further restrictions. So hopefully that'll be part of the unified code. But I prefer to let other groups that actually have issues with that take that one forward, and we can sort of watch. That's my opinion.
I liked having the community forest minutes on here.
Those will continue, as long as I'm on there now.
Great. Very nice to get an insight, and excellent. And it seems like there's generally a good rapport and lots of back and forth between those two groups, so I really support that. If there's anything else, we'll take a motion to receive. Councillor.
I'll second.
Councillor Latimer. All in favor? Administrator reports, community conversations. Here it is, folks.
That was a really good, really great report. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for all that.
I agree.
Well thought out, thank you, Anne, really good.
I agree. And I particularly want to say, I really appreciate, I appreciate the addendum at the end, employees and the role of local government sort of answering that sort of broader question that was present, but maybe, yeah. There's some really good reading. I'm sure the newspapers will have a field day with that one.
So is this now goes into the newspapers? How
are we making it, because for anyone that was there, this was to be, fed back to them so they know the responses.
We're considering different ways to distribute it. It is on the website and available through the agenda here, but we've thought that maybe it would be a good idea to release a short blip on one item a day or one item a week on Facebook, because it's a pretty lengthy document for a lot of people to read, but they might want to read through one, and that might keep their interest for the length of the one topic.
We'll just get Ann to tweet it.
Okay, what about people that don't have Facebook?
We haven't thought through all the distribution plan yet. That's
okay.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to hearing what staff has got, and we'll let you use the resources that you've got available to do that. But I appreciate the idea. If you give it all at once, people's eyes are probably going to glaze over. But if you could work some sort of deal with Imelda's publishing house and that other newspaper, and release one a week, for a while, that would be. I'd read that.
What about a fan out in the mail? Is that something that we've decided to stay away from?
No, we haven't. We do at different times for various reasons. It's a possibility.
Okay.
We probably wouldn't do an 8-page one.
No.
That would get
What am I saying?
costly.
Everybody's going to watch this on TV,
There you go.
right?
Are you going to read all 8 pages?
So we just hold it up to the camera. Really close. Yeah, okay.
So we want to evaluate the distribution through our communications plan as well.
Okay, perfect.
But there will be further distribution for sure.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm sure there will be follow-ups. I'm sure not everybody's going to be happy with how every question is answered. And I mean, the conversation continues, I think, we're through this formal piece of it, but if you've got something where you're like, hey, that didn't really answer my question, feel free to come and talk to me. No, talk to Ann, really. But it'll be interesting to see what people come up with. So we'll just have a motion to receive this. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Next item on the agenda, backyard poultry. Let me get to the recommendation here. So during our first community conversation, this is well-timed, or I guess our second community conversation, we did a poll in terms of, on a couple different items. One item was, I think, a consideration on was it medical marijuana? Medical marijuana, yeah, something to do on the cemetery. And then the other was backyard chickens. And it proved fairly popular at the community conversations. Staff is asking here to have this draft bylaw, the backyard poultry bylaw, brought before the APC, the Advisory Planning Commission.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I'm in support of it. I just wanted to say this isn't the first time it came. This had been reviewed back in 2010 and 2011 when the animal control bylaw went through a thorough review.
Yes.
By a committee of staff, council, and citizens of the community. So it had been knocked down by the previous council. It had been considered knocked down then, so it wasn't the first time in 2013. I just wanted to raise that. So I do like the idea of taking it to the APC again to be revisited that way.
Yeah.
And one little thing I'd like to make sure gets corrected though when it goes to them is on the actual draft permit that's been done up. The animal control bylaw number 700 is showing 700, 2014, and it's actually 2013 is when we adopted that bylaw.
Fair enough.
Just make sure that's corrected before it goes to them.
That'll be interesting. And I know that it'll be interesting. The APC is going, if I could just make a comment on this, on a suggestion for the APC, is they're going to need to factor in, if they're not familiar, they're going to need to know how animal control is going. And I mean, it's fairer that we address something like this now, having a system in place, albeit very early days. But I mean, it would be interesting if they had sort of a sense of number of complaints / effectiveness and compliance, whether that's working out. But I'll move this backyard poultry goes to the Advisory Planning Commission for further consideration. Okay, Councillor Blanchette, and all in favor? Okay. Trans Mountain application process update, 52. Yeah. Okay, did you want to say a short piece on this?
No. The process has been somewhat delayed as a result of a request for an extension.
Okay.
Not our request.
Anyways, I just really appreciate it, and I think that it's really useful for citizens who are interested in the process and what's happening to be able to see the back and forth here and what's going on, and sort of, I mean, I think we imagine how frustrating a process it can be through, but definitely a work-intensive one. And last time, I think I incorrectly attributed the work to the lawyer. Our lawyer is working on our behalf, but I understand the bulk of the work is being done by Maria Sokolik in Regional District and Administrator Yanciw. So just to correct that was a big bad mistake. The lawyer is just seeing that things go through the process. So, just for information, Councillor Latimer? Yeah. Councillor Salt? All in favor? Great. Okay. What an interesting agenda to come back to after a very relaxing holiday. There's lots of big items on here. This next one is seeking council direction on further visitor info center operations. And it's got the report of our last year, the full year of operation. And certainly we sort of get the sense from what Adventure Management, the group running it, and staff is feeling. But I think it's worthwhile having a conversation about with council. Well, it's not worthwhile, it's what we do, but council, what are your feelings on this?
I would like to see some financials. Like, I read the report, but there weren't any financials in the report.
They're a non-profit society, they're a business. They contract to us to provide this service, so financials are their personal business as opposed to a nonprofit society.
But we, okay.
Except where their
Except-
profits are
Shared with us.
Yeah.
The profit sharing thing is our business indeed, yeah.
Because it said that the trial commenced in the fall and it continued until early May, so it hasn't even gone through a whole summer cycle yet, which is their big season, is it not? Like, is that gonna make a difference?
The trial period commenced for the winter, but we did engage them for the previous summer as well.
Already, yeah.
So the report contains elements of both the full year and the trial of the winter. In some sections, it will separate them, and in some sections, it combines them.
Okay.
For me, sorry.
That's okay. So originally this was at the Tourism Valemount, and I was on that committee, and we went through the contract, and we went through a lot of the details of it. So can we not refer it back to Tourism Valemount, to that?
Wasn't it a committee of council? It was, because I remember I was on that too.
And Dallas was on it. And then I was on it for tourism, and Wendy was on it as well, obviously. Just a thought, I was just wondering why it wouldn't go back to the tourism committee. And then with recommendations brought forward to council on that.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, that would play to the strengths of the committee for sure. I'll just say what I was going to say before you said that, if you don't mind. I mean, for me, sorry. So we had it open this winter, and I think it was wise to test that out. I think we got hard numbers, and I mean, it just seems like the finances certainly don't warrant, unless we're thinking that things will change around in a big way in the future, that the finances certainly don't warrant having it open in the winter. And for me, it was on page 6 of the adventure management report, where they break down the number of parties per hour and sort of what that cost to provide that service. And so during the summer months, so if you take all the summer months that are typically open, the regular season, it's about 50 cents per visitor. I mean, that's just a measure. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad necessarily on its own, but when you compare it to the winter months, where it's $8.13 per visitor, the relative cost of having staff there all the time, the amount of traffic that's coming in, it just seems to me that I don't think we should write it off. I don't think we should say to future councils, never do this, because it could make sense in the future. But certainly right now, it's a very expensive bill, and to have something where we could have this, the same service that we know and love for a cost with expenses of around $18,000 versus what we've had. I mean, it seems to me that, but what is the timeline on this? So back to Christine's point, saying, is there an opportunity to send this to
Tourism.
I think there.
Or to a committee of council?
The contract does say that council will provide an answer back by July 31st, but adventure management is very easy to work with. We've really appreciated working with them, and I'm reasonably certain I could negotiate an extension to that.
Okay, well, let's go with that. If we get into trouble, we'll duck and weave. Councillor.
Well, and it's not like we did agree to a 3-year contract with the provision of backing out of the year-round operations after this first trial year. So it's not like we're renegotiating their contract all over again. We're just reviewing this. And I think too, I would prefer, I mean, out of the 3 options and recommendations that were given, first of all, I would prefer to see it go back to the people that were part of the initial negotiations of this contract for us to review some of the numbers closer. I agree that maybe right now isn't the time, but it's also to say that down the road, maybe a year-round will work out. But I kind of, myself knowing as a traveling individual who oftentimes would travel off-season, would be very frustrated when I go to a visitor center that wasn't open in April or past the end of September. Many times we were traveling the first week of October. So I like that middle ground one of extending the seasons. But said, my preference, I think, too, would be for us to refer this to the initial committee that looked at it, just to have them review.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. That's a great suggestion. And hopefully we'll be able to buy the time to make that happen.
I'm sure.
And if not, we've got another council meeting in July anyways that we can.
No, you don't.
No, we don't.
No, but we can make
Call
you one. Call
Very
you
good.
one.
Okay, well, I'll take that motion from Councillor Latimer.
Just articulate the motion.
To refer this to, what was the name of the committee?
It was, I think, I have
Committee which
it,
was struck in,
it's in Dropbox, I got it
to-
here. It was called the,
We better get the name of the committee.
yeah, hold on.
Is that fair? Is that?
The Rolodex is up
Or can we give you?
Yeah, I've got it here, I got it here.
Available, and I'm drawing a blank on what they're
Yeah.
on here.
I've got it here, because I know we had it. Where is it? It was Info Center Contract Committee or something like that. It was, because it says Info Center Contract, but I know it was Christine Dallas and myself were part of that.
And how it originally all come about was, the tourism committee was interested in looking at it year-round for the community, and then it was presented to council that way. And then we did all of the initial talks with Wendy, and then I'd also talked to the TOTA board, because TOTA does run a visitor information center as well. So we kind of melded the two parts of information, yeah.
Okay, so well, let's just spell out, we got the name of the committee? No.
It's on our committee list here, and it's just called the Info Center Contract.
Okay, so let's refer this, and what we'll do is refer to them. I want to define the scope. We don't want to send it back with sort of blank check, whatever, but just to look at which option is the best one to proceed for the next season. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so that's a motion. Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay.
Yes.
I'm recalling something from a CBT meeting on like super high functioning organizations. And one of the things that there was a keynote speaker shared was that organizations that go out and try things and get data and then move on, whether or not that project succeeds, they're further ahead because they know what works and what's not. And then they have an organizational experience of working with each other. So this is, whatever. Might seem like a blind alley, but not. Moving on to the next item is the governance study process or boundary extension from the Economic Development Officer. And this one's for information purposes only, but it sort of lays out how the thinking of the, which is, hey, there's a lot there. So nice to get it on three
Kind of, I think, might help
pages.
people understand too, like, it's clear, but it's a lengthy process. It's not a quick process either. So, no.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you.
Yeah, and I think too, some solace in the, for those who, just in the sense is, is council going to be able to get the information it knows to see whether it's shooting itself in the foot or whether we're going to be able to negotiate clearly? So just on, are we going to take on a sewer system that is, or we're considering this, we might be taking on a huge liability. Are we laying out the process to consider that clearly? Or are we just saying ski hill, mayor wants to ski, just make it happen, So, Councillor Salt.
I move to accept the report.
Okay. Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Very good. Okay. For receipts or for information purposes, a financial report? Okay. Councillor Blanchette and Councillor Salt. How did you guys like that? With a little notation on the end saying, yeah, I like that.
It helps explain some things.
I look at pages and numbers all the time. It's nice. Give me 5 words at the end of it. Okay. All in favor? Great. Okay, so temporary use permit for a short-term vacation rental property. We've been through this a number of times before. And it's staff's recommendation that we approve staff to proceed with a TUP application process, including scheduling a public hearing, referring the application to nearby property owners. Okay, Councillor Latimer.
Second.
Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Good. And will that likely be on the agenda next week, or next meeting?
We have 3 weeks to the next meeting, so we'll have plenty of time to get the advertisements out.
Perfect. Good. Okay. We have fourth reading on the general elections and voting bylaw, number 719.
Are you ready?
With me?
Okay, well, let's get it on the table, and then we'll start throwing questions, okay? Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, let it fly.
Have staff received any kind of feedback from the public? Yay, nay?
Nothing.
I think when Councillor Latimer explained about the process last time, it sort of puts things into perspective and staff time and, and waiting, you're 2 a.m. in the morning, you're waiting for Suzanne to call you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that...
Well, and again, just for any candidates that ended up having to go through recounts too, it just kind of helps reduce that, I think.
And any spoiled ballots, so, I think it's time to move forward.
Stepping, bringing us a little more into the modern times.
Yeah. And yet, it's really still is paper stuff.
It still is paper, and it still has to go through all its regulations and rules, but.
Okay, so I'll move to...
We've got it
already on the floor.
All in favor? Done. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, that's it.
Nope, no 16.
Okay. Okay, we've got we'll do council reports first. All right. Yeah.
I've been busy working. But I did have a community forest board meeting on the 14th and another really good meeting. We'll forward those minutes forthcoming. Some of the workers, of course, with the heat wave, we had to put a stop to work happening out in the woods, and people got pulled out just so that community forest couldn't be blamed for any fires starting. So, until, I'm not sure if they're back in yet. I know it was going to be for at least a week that they were being pulled out. So I'll follow up with Craig and find out on that. But again, a very good, productive meeting. And we just keep progressing along with things, and we'll have, like I said, minutes on upcoming.
Very good.
And then with my new work, I attended my first board meeting. So I did that last night. That was a marathon meeting, but it's good. It's all good. I like working at the daycare. It's a lot of fun. So that's it for me.
I have nothing to report for council.
Well, I had a fantastic meeting. I think it was on the 14th. Our CAO, Anne, and our EDO, Silvio, went with me to McBride, where we met all of McBride's council and mayor and members from regional district, Fraser Fort George, and it was fantastic. And we sat down and we discussed what projects are going on, who's doing what was successful, what isn't, how the business walk went for McBride, little tidbits of information on what to do, what not to do, what to watch for. In November, McBride is going to be doing the Love McBride project. So that's in November. And then we discussed combining our efforts because of the new branding, doing one of the books together as the Robson Valley. And that will cut down on costs. And it's a project for all businesses in the Robson Valley. So we've sort of put that, in everybody's ear. So I'd like to stay on top of that and work with Cam and McBride, and I think that it's a really good opportunity for both of us. We're the same communities, we need to be together. Yeah, and the other thing too was that maybe our chamber every once in a while could get together with the McBride, find out what they're doing, what their successes are, what ours are, you know, just, like I said, again, we're the same communities, we're working together, you know, in the same kind of thing, so let's really work together and talk about what worked, what didn't, what's going on. You know, they're only an hour up the road. It's a really good opportunity, and I think that if we don't take this opportunity to get together in all of our nonprofits and our profits and our groups, that we're gonna miss out, you know, because together we're stronger than we are two separates. And
Thank you so much for
it was
going
great.
to that. I would have loved to, but
Yeah, well, everybody's working, you know,
Yeah.
but I was able to go, and I'm really glad I did. It was great to see everybody. It was great to, just to find out what everybody's doing. That marketing coordinator opportunity, I believe the papers have had it in the thing, so that's a good opportunity for somebody in McBride, somebody in Tijon, somebody in Valemount to look into. And again, that will help as well with that Love Your Town, Small Town Love project. That's it. That's all I did.
That's good report. That's great. That's visionary. I'm so happy that you went. I'm so happy that you had such a good time, and I'm so happy that you have such a great idea. I mean, that is a really profoundly good idea. I've seen the book that she was talking about is, I saw Love Cornell book. I'm not sure if that was what it was called, but it was absolutely fantastic. Glossy photos, hardbound, a book about all that there is to do.
It's something tourists, when they come to, they can take it home with them, and then they show somebody else, and oh, hey, you know, and there's contact information in the book. So even if that person can't get to the Robson Valley, they can contact that vendor and do whatever magic they do, right? So it opens up a huge, huge opportunity for everybody.
That's just fantastic. I was away on vacation. I managed to make it to I did have an exciting meeting. I was able to make the Finance and Audit Committee. Can you imagine calling in from the cottage? Actually used it to go to town and take a shower. That was, yeah, at any rate, other than that, pretty quiet. Nice to come back and see all of the pieces ticking and get a sense of what's happening. I had a sort of a realization, I think one that Councillor Blanchette would share is that out of all our economic activities economic development strategies and everything like that, this local thing is really the key. And you know what, this working with McBride, like getting that a little further, I think like we've got a little renaissance happening in Valemount. I feel lots of people are excited about shopping locally and being here, and it's having a positive effect on the community, at least for me, how the street looks and how it feels. So excited to see Sue Stremmel open Pepe's again. And trying to be mindful about shopping locally, but you know, blow that up to include McBride, and then that's sort of a game changer. And McBride has that tiny coffee roaster, who I love their coffee. That's what I do. So it'd be really interesting to see if we can, you know, get them carried in Valemount more than just at the grocery store or whatever. But support them, and you know, then we've got the local brewery too, right? Like it goes both ways. So support each other's manufacturing sectors and everything else. And I'm so glad you guys took that time, and it really goes to show that's exactly the kind of networking that can happen at the North Central Local Government Association. Just worth noting, saying that that thing was born during probably a really boring presentation.
I think it was during lunch.
Maybe it was lunch. Oh, okay, so that's fair. But anyways, that is exactly the right idea. So I hope that if we can figure out how to support that. And another great initiative going on, I just got an email about it, was the Chamber of Commerce trade show. So that's another really strong one. And I got a letter today. It'll probably come to the next agenda, maybe. We'll see. Just asking how as a village want to be involved in that, and whether it's us or one of the organizations we have goes. But it's a worthwhile question. So nice to see all these things happening. Let's focus on what we can do here, and that's really.
And we're working with McBride on that as well.
Oh, beautiful. Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that concludes my report. Motion to receive. Great. And all in favor? Good. Now we'll get to this late item.
Do you want me to set this up, because then I have to step out,
For sure.
because I'm in real conflict?
Okay, no worries.
So the library applied to the Healthy Communities Committee, which I'm co-chair of, for stream wind funding that was being offered. And I stepped out when the vote was on, so I did not vote on the library's behalf. And what we would like to do is put in a chess checkerboard in the front lawn of the village-owned property of the library. It is grass and paving stones. The library is prepared to do the work themselves. It would be great if someone from Public Works would advise if needed. We are having our 50th anniversary on the 9th, so we've ordered the set and we would like to have it installed, to do the work for them. So this is what it would look like, just so that you can see what it actually, it's not going to be that big. If we use the large size stones, it would be no bigger than 16 by 16 on the front lawn. So, now one of the issues is, we have to make sure that the paving stones remain flat, so we don't want to, the village, Public Works mows our grass graciously every week, so we want to make sure that the stones stay flat so they don't injure the grass cutter. So that's an issue that we have to be aware of. We have ordered the chess checkerboard. The Healthy Communities Committee was quite excited because it involves the entire community. Anybody can come and play. We will be keeping the pieces in the library and for safety for right now. And we would like to also, we're going to be putting up benches so people can come, have a picnic, play chess, play checkers, whatever we want to do. So we're asking to be able to put this board in place for August 9th.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Sorry.
Did you have anybody have any questions?
16 feet by 16 feet, is that?
That would be
if you
the
went-
largest if we use the big paving stones. The paving stones are 24 inches, I believe, but we're hoping to use the 12 by 12. We just have to see what the chess pieces look like, because it's an outdoor set that we've ordered. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Like, how big are the chess pieces? Like, really?
Yeah.
How do you get, can you lift
They're
them?
light. Oh, yeah, they're light.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Because when I get older,
Give Public
And the
Works.
checkers as well.
Yeah.
And the checkers.
Yeah, you can hire people to move the spots.
Well, we could have a live
Right.
checkerboard for
Right.
chess players, right?
Right, okay, okay.
So
Let's get her out of here.
Yeah, we just thought it'd be a good community initiative, so there we go.
So I'm a chess fiend. Should I excuse myself, or?
Me too.
Okay. All right, well, I think we should definitely refer to Public Works, and that side, like, we want to make sure that that is indeed the case, that it would be low maintenance, hey? That's a key for me, so I would like, regardless of how we proceed with it, I'd like to make sure that we do that step, but.
You don't really have a whole lot of time, they need to make a decision, because I'd like to have it installed for August 9th, which is only a couple weeks, isn't it?
Okay.
When's our next council meeting?
I mean, I hate to be so, brutal, but I imagine it's just a matter of making sure that Public Works is involved to make sure that it isn't a terrible, that it is done correctly. Yes.
Would it be all right if I raised a logistical point?
Yeah.
That I can just foresee?
Yeah.
Typically, when these sets are installed, they have to be on level ground, and that lawn is a hill rising up towards the building.
Sure.
So what that would look like in terms of, does it need to go down a foot?
Right.
Once it does go down to make it level, then how do you support the embankment that then is made by making it level? From the Public Works point of view, it's not merely can we mow the lawn and weed around it, but it's significant. And I just wanted to, just off the top of my head, I apologize, but I wanted to raise that.
Sure.
But there might be the option for them to place it elsewhere, like between the museum and the library, right, where it is flat.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, let's be reasonable, but what can we do that would give Public Works the ability to have some ownership over it, to make sure that it gets done properly, or not ownership, but supervisor, and make sure, like, if it's totally won't work on the property without compromising the building, or if it doesn't go ahead, but sort of put it in their court and see what can be worked out. Is that fair? Yeah.
Has Public Works been asked any questions about this?
Yeah, they did raise some concerns around the mowing, that paving stones frequently with frost heaves lift and change ankles, and so we'd want to make sure that the library was responsible for ensuring that the paving stones were kept level rather than taking on that responsibility.
I do notice one thing here, though, that this letter is dated July 8th. So it's been in the village's possession already for 2 weeks. So Public Works have been consulted already then, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
And then are they in favor other than the stones possibly lifting?
Let's not ask if they're in favor. Let's not go there.
Okay.
We don't want to know, because it's change, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the question is, how do we manage this well without creating it? We don't want to create a ton of work for Public Works. I mean, they're right to not want that, and we're right to want to see the job done well, and also want, help the library be successful. So, Administrator, you're the person who's in charge, so how do we send that forward? Or is there a way we can send that forward where we say, I think when we take the vote, we're going to say we're in favor of this piece.
Right, there's just one point in the letter that says that they would appreciate the assistance in installing the board if available, but they're prepared to do the installation work themselves. So we could always, if we do vote in favor, we can always say, to make sure that the ground is as level as it can be and the paving stones are as level as they can be, and so Public Works can do the mowing properly. They're not saying, can we have Public Works?
Do you mean ensure that Public Works supervises or inspects?
Or even be just kind of a consultant, I guess, in a sense. Because if they are going to do the work themselves with their people, to be able to consult on the matter might be a big thing.
Yeah, 'cause like we say, if it turns out that if they really desire to do it on the front lawn and that's going to be a problem, that's where Public Works can maybe say, how about here? And
So let's, if we can, I'll make a motion that we ask that Public Works to work with the library to see if, there's a low maintenance install.
there you go.
Yeah. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'll second that.
I think that sort of addresses, yeah.
So basically we are saying that
We
moving
support it.
supporting
Yeah,
it.
we're looking for Public Works,
One.
and barring that, if there's, if there's something really wrong.
awry in the process,
we'll let
then
Public
we
Works
need to know.
slow that down a little,
Yeah.
slow that train down a little bit. Okay, fair enough. All in favor then? Great. We'll get Gord. Mr. Peters on camera.
Thanks, Gord.
Checkmate.
Now we have to really learn how to play.
I'll teach you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, there's a couple items for information. If, no, there's not. No, those items are not there. We're moving into the period of public comment. Do we have any comments from the public?
I was gonna say, he's got his notebook there, he's gotta get up and speak.
All rise. No, just rise.
Owen Ferguson of 9111 Elm Street. I too, as a citizen of shareholders of the Valemount Community Forest, was pleased to see the minutes. In regards to waiving fees and things, Valemount East just got a very nice tent. I'm sure the nonprofit groups can get together and work with that. Backyard chickens, I'm glad you guys are referring it and not just shooting it down. There seems to be in Park and Pond a growing trend of having less and less ALR in a regional district, so having our urban sources of food generation is probably fairly important. Trans Mountain expansion and its delays with the NEB. What are the thoughts and wishes of our First Nations partners in this? Valemount Information Center seems to be the only room of a village-owned building that does not charge rent. Just curious why. And they had a lot of comments in their report about snow removal. They're not an essential service, nor are they a resident. So, you know, they'll get plowed when, you know, the clinic, after the clinic and after the ambulance and after the schools get plowed. The VIC contract negotiation team, does that committee even exist anymore? There's been changes to committees of council, so therefore a manual or committee manual would have been assigned by its members. And there's provisions in that manual of how many meetings are to be held, how many you have to attend, quorums, things like that. Boundary expansion. What grants were, I don't see any information on what grants were sought and what grants were approved to fund that. The electoral bylaw, I just wanted to make sure that any signage and, you know, post-electoral signage, be it provincial, federal, municipal, regional district, that they're taken down quickly. Usually it's just a heyday of signage and it just looks your frontage roads and your access points and your corridors look like garbage. The checkerboard, that'd be so cool. I have a bit of background in sod, 14 years. If there's enough spacing with sod between the stones, you can get the contour that you're looking for without having to take out any grade. Grass is a wonderful rooting agent that will not allow paving stones to move, and if the right material is used underneath, you will not have frost heaves.
Can we call you?
Pardon?
Can we call you?
If you like.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that any works completed by contractor, be nonprofit or for-profit, is required to have their works inspected by Public Works. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, motion, further public comment? Martin Gislimberti? Okay, all right, very good. Seconded by Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay, motion to proceed in camera. Councillor Salt, all in favor? Owen. When we, what's that?
You're getting that adjourned.
That'll work well in slow-mo.